Welcome to this edition of the Government News Brief for Monday, October 24th, 2016. In the news, cases of diarrhea in Camarang contained. Minister responsible for labor says the government will not countenance union busting, and the President's Youth Award Republic of Guyana PYARG has awarded its latest successful participants. Stay tuned for the details. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Paul McAdam. Now for the details. Reported cases of diarrhea in Camarang Region 7 have been contained. Ministry of Public Health is working towards determining the cause. Delicia Haynes has the details.
A team of health officials recently visited the hinterland community of Camarang Region 7 to address reports of persons being diagnosed with diarrhea. The Ministry of Public Health notes that all recorded cases of diarrhea for the period have subsided. Minister of Public Health, Dr. George Norton, says the quick response was possible since supplies were on hand.
Fortunately, we managed to be informed here, as is the procedure of that outbreak. At one stage, there were, we understand, 25 persons suffering from the diarrhea outbreak. But we managed to get it under control, and at this point in time, there is no person who has active diarrhea. We had the medications on board, we had the whatever was needed, the medical supplies, and the doctors were on top of it.
It is suspected that a limited supply of potable water may have contributed to the outbreak. Residents would have had to access untreated drinking water from a nearby river.
We suspected it's waterborne because the water is very low, and the villagers tend to use the water for all domestic purposes. We understand that the well that was supposed to be in that particular area was not completed.
The Ministry of Public Health and the Guyana Water Incorporated GWI are implementing preventative measures which would decrease the chance of a reoccurrence of the outbreak.
We had a communication with the Guyana Water Authority, who was visiting that area to see how early they can complete the construction of that well. Also, they would have distributed tanks that has a filter attached to the nozzle, so that after filling the tank with water and you drain it through that nozzle, it should be properly filtered and pure for human consumption.
Minister Norton says that a health team will remain in the area to carry out surveillance, while water samples will be tested to verify the cause of the diarrhea. For the Government News Brief, I am Delicia Haynes.
The Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board, the PTCCB, warns against buying pesticides from roadside vendors. More in this Gabriela Patram report.
Chemist 2 of the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board, Maurice Solomon, says pesticides and other chemicals are to be tested by the authority and certified for local use. Solomon warns of the dangers in buying pesticides from street-side vendors.
Those things that you see on the streets, we have no idea where they're coming from, and we have no idea what's in them. We have not done any analysis on them. Any formulated product that comes into the country, we need to clear that. We need to ensure that, as Ria said, those physical properties are met.
The chemist says roadside vending of toxic chemicals continues unabated despite efforts of the PTCCB and warnings against this practice.
Those pesticide products that you see selling on the roads, it's illegal to purchase those. You do find vendors from time to time still selling the rat beads and so on and so on. And even in our enforcement activities, we get them off. Tomorrow, 2 more would come.
Solomon says citizens have a duty to do what is right and must aid the authorities in dealing with this situation, which oftentimes can result in death and injury.
If you're going to purchase a pesticide, if you're going to purchase a rat bait, if you're going to purchase an ant bait, go to those legal vendors out there. And for those vendors, you can contact the pesticide board for information as to where they're located if you don't know if they're any nearby.
The Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board was established in 2000 to manage pesticides and toxic chemicals in Guyana and ensure that what reaches the end user is legal and does not pose a severe risk to human health. This is Pesticides Awareness Week, and it is being observed under the theme Managing Pesticides Responsibly, Adapt to Climate Change. Gabriella Patram for the Government News Brief.
Minister with responsibility for labor, Keith Scott, says government will not countenance union busting. More in this report.
Minister responsible for labor, Keith Scott, says the laws must be respected. He was speaking in relation to reports that the Russian-controlled Bauxite Company of Guyana, Incorporated, BCGI, has been pressuring workers to sign a document de-recognizing the Guyana Bauxite and General Workers Union as their representative union.
This thing has a process. We have laws. It has to be respected. As long as I'm here, I have no problem with negotiating and conciliating between the unions and with the workers and with the employers. But I will not countenance any union busting, any law breaking, and not any can be allowed workers to continue suffering.
Scott says workers' rights to choose their representative must be respected, and workers only must decide of their own free will who should represent them.
If there's any attempt at the recognition of any union in this country, as long as I'm a minister, I will consider that to be union busting, of which I will not look kindly on such a course of action. It is only for the workers themselves, voluntarily and of their own free will and without coercion, for them to decide at some point in their own interest whether they want to have a said union be their recognized bargaining agent.
The call by BCGI for workers to de-recognize the GB and GWU comes as part of an ongoing feud between the Bauxite Company and the Workers' Union dating back to 2009, when more than 50 workers were dismissed from the company. Since taking office, Scott had advised the Bauxite Company to prepare a severance package for the dismissed workers and also to re-engage with the union. Kidaki Amsterdam for Government News Brief.
Region 5 has successfully completed most of its budget infrastructural works for 2016. Find out what was done in this Zanil Williams report.
The region's chief engineer, Dan Paul Sukai, says several infrastructural works were undertaken in the region. This, he explains, has seen the region progressing amidst challenges.
Region 5 is in a good position despite the difficulties that we would have had early on in the year with the council and so on. In our project execution, given that the budget was already approved in 2015 and projects were already proposed, we worked with whatever was already approved. So we had no new projects added or taken out.
Sukai points out that the roads and bridges are 100% completed under the capital and recurrent programs for 2016.
That would be inclusive of roads and land development. Yes, with regards to bridges, we would have also done, we did 2 major bridges within the region, both in the Maikoni sub-district, both costing us about 8 million each, and we would have done additionally 2 more. That's in our capital program.
Sukai says a lab and sterilization unit is being constructed at the Fort Wellington Hospital, while a new diabetic center was constructed at the Maikoni Hospital rather than having the patients travel to Fort Wellington. He says extensive works were also carried out on several schools.
We have successfully completed a new technical block at the number 8 secondary school. We did an extension to the Waterloo Nursery School. We upgraded several nursery schools, the floor and some repairs to the buildings. We did extensive repairs to the head teacher and the deputy head teacher quarter at Baijival Secondary, that they were in disrepair. So we would have upgraded those. We did some extensive repairs to the Rossignol Primary School.
So in all for the health capital, the education capital, we have completed to date 100%.
The engineer revealed that the region will see new developments for 2017. These include the upgrading of dam access roads to concrete roads, a new primary school in the Maikoni district, 2 health centers, and agriculture education development. Region 5 will be fully developed, he says.
The National Youth Policy is being followed and should reach across Guyana with the creation of a National Youth Empowerment Action Plan. Details in this Isaiah Braffett report.
Director of Youth Melissa Carmichael says that an action plan will be used as a monitoring mechanism to ensure the objectives of the National Youth Policy are being effectively delivered.
The action plan is to be created as a monitoring and evaluation tool for the National Youth Policy. It clearly outlines what programs, projects should be created. And furthermore, it tells us whether the National Youth Policy is actually being implemented and used across Guyana.
According to the Youth Director, all guidelines will be followed as the action plan will eventually need a go-ahead from the National Assembly before it could be implemented.
This is a monitoring evaluation tool for a policy, a national policy. It means that all bodies, all stakeholders involved must be aware of plan. So it's not just about us sitting down and creating a document and say this is what we're using to monitoring, but our stakeholders must be on board. There must be consultations, first of all, for the action plan. And then, of course, discussion by government.
However, Carmichael says that the absence of the action plan will not in any way hinder the objectives set out in the National Youth Policy. She pointed out that the Youth Department has already been crafting their work plan for 2017 using the guidelines of the National Youth Policy. For the Government News Brief, Isaiah Braffett.
The President's Youth Award Republic of Guyana, PYARG, has awarded its latest successful participants. Delon Sanko tells us more.
The President Youth Award Republic of Guyana, PYARG, on Saturday had its 18th award presentation ceremony. The achievement of 727 young people were recognized. Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, in his featured address, thanked the awardees for their commitment to the program. He also encouraged them to keep striving for higher goals.
You don't believe today that you could go home telling mom and dad and your siblings, I have achieved, I was recognized, I have gained something. And again, I congratulate you because that was your decision. That was your decision. You feel today that you are a person of work.
Minister of Education Dr. Rupert Rupnarine urged awardees to stay focused and productive.
Passion and purpose are fuel for energized development. I say to you, never lose focus of your passion and purpose. For a person without them will be like a ship without a sail, a ship without destination, at the mercy of the winds and the tide.
Youth Director Melissa Carmichael complimented the PYARG team for work they've been doing over the years with the young people. She reiterated, however, that there is need for more work and resources.
With the passing of the National Youth Policy just last week, the Department of Youth stands ready to the implementation and execution to benefit all young people. Though some work has and is being done in this regard, I believe that for major gains to be realized, much more work is needed.
The International Award for Young People is a development of the Duke of Edinburgh's award, which was introduced to Great Britain in 1956. It was later adopted by Guyana in October of 1998. The award today has offered approximately 18,000 youths aged 14 to 24 the opportunity to be involved in a number of activities ranging from skill training, community service, physical recreation, adventurous journeys, and explorations. Delon Sanko for the Government News Brief.
We've come to the end of today's edition of the Government News Brief. The details of these and other stories can be found on GNA's website. GINA has an active Facebook page and we encourage you to visit and like us so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. I'm Paul McAdam. Thank you for watching.